Five, four, three, two, one. Hello, 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 and welcome back to Space Engineers on the Xbox, on the Series X. And this is a tutorial on something people have asked me about for a while. And it's something I kind of do without realizing I'm doing it. And it's something a lot of people do without realizing the proper name for it. And that is super gridding. What is super gridding? Well, it's not a grid with a great big S in a diamond shape. It is, in fact, an exploit in Space Engineers that can be used to make a large grid ship fit small grid parts, or a small grid ship fit large grid parts. So to get started, what you need to do is pick a game. I'm going to load up one of my game saves. I'm going to load up my creative, the one I use for mod showcasing, and I'm going to go into my edit settings. And then, rather than hitting up mods, which I don't need to add, I'm going to hit Y for advanced. Then, I'm going to come all the way down until I reach the radio buttons here, and you'll see that super gridding is on. That's because I've been using it. Now, what you need to do probably is toggle it on and then press OK to confirm it. Then press OK again on your Space Engineers menu and then load your save game. While this loads, it'll check for any mod updates and then we'll be going in. I've got a few mods running, so even on a Series X, it can take a little while to load. But super gridding is something that a lot of people who play Space Engineers have kind of been doing. And all it is you attaching a small grid hinge head or rotor head to a large grid rotor. And you can do it with rotors, hinges, and you can do it with advanced rotors as well. And advanced rotors are quite useful because they offer you the chance to create a nice kind of square platform if you're going to do it. But I'll show you how it's done in a moment when we get into the game. Right. Ignore that for now because this is going to come in handy in a minute because I'm going to attempt to show you one of the ways that I like to use super gridding to sort things out. I mean, I actually build small grid ships using the super grid exploit by putting small rotor heads onto rotors so I can build off a rotor and keep the grid powered. So here we are. Let's just bang in a regular bog standard rotor onto our grid. Got our rotor. Here it is. Actually, yeah, got our rotor. We'll just slap one in. And then what I like to do as well, just for the purposes of demonstration, is pop on a button panel so I can get to it from the control menu easily. So now we've got our rotor. What we do is we aim at the rotor part and then we grind off that rotor head. Now we open up our control panel and we type rotor in on our search bar, and because it's a subgrid, rotor, not a subgrid rotor, it'll show up somewhere here. Now I've got two rotor 3s, but if you click and look down the list, you'll see that one of these rotor 3s won't have a head. So there's the one we want. So what we want to do is you want to add small head And then we want to come down and lock the rotor, because you don't want the rotor spinning around while you're trying to use it. So now we have a small grid head on the rotor, and all we need to do is aim at our small grid head, pop down a block, pop down the block, and we have small grid parts on a large grid, and that is super gridding. And with things like this, you could build a large grid ship, but you could decide that you prefer our small grid sci-fi sliding doors to get into it. So you could do that and build a small grid like so. Or maybe you want to mix a large grid kind of armor structure with a small grid detailing. Again, same deal. Any small grid block that can fit on a small grid will fit on this. So this is great for doing things like maybe mix and matching ramps, and you don't want big clunky pistons. You know, you want smaller pistons like this. Like so. And that's super gridding. How to put large grid rotors down and drop a small grid head on. Same deal with the hinges. With the hinges, you again need to remember that your hinge head, this hinge part here, needs to come off like so. And to your hinge menu, you'll see add small head, add the small head, and again lock the hinge. You don't want that hinge moving. And once more, you can't basically see the hinge bottom, and you can build a nice 9-block small platform. Again, useful for altering the grid size. You'll see that though you can't build on that side there, that's the only thing, and build out like this. And that's super gridding on hinges and rotors. There is one more aspect of super gridding. Let me just change the time of day. And that is, I see a lot of people ask how you can find ore in Space Engineers when you've got a vehicle, when you've got such a tiny ore detector. There is a way, and it's a bit clunky, of getting a large grid part onto a small grid, like this one. Now this one does have a small grid ore detector. Now this is a little fiddly, and it can take some getting used to. But the best thing to do, I've found, is to employ the services of a advanced rotor. So once more, drop your advanced rotor on, and then grind off. Make sure you're looking at the rotor part, and be careful because you can accidentally grind down the advanced rotor. Grind off that. But now, what we're going to do here, hold on, let me just think, have I done that right? No, that's right. A large grid head on this. So this is the tricky bit. This is the bit that takes a little bit of getting used to. Kind of position yourself with the jetpack above the ship. And you're aiming to almost get your cursor sort of there. Now what you need to do is find your rotor part in the menu, the advanced rotor part. You can tap A when you're in the build radial from clicking in the left stick and choose a rotor part. Now you'll see that it's actually attached there, and so you come up a bit while it's still attached and then you stop. Now while you're hovering, you hold down the left bumper and tap X. You can see that you'll get a large grid part. So once again, make sure you've got this part selected like that. Now, hold down the left bumper and tap down on the D-pad until that part comes loose. Move up to the rotor parts that you want, and then toggle the grid side again. Toggle the grid size by pressing down the left bumper and pressing X. Now, without doing anything else, cross your fingers and press the right trigger. If this drops down like here and wobbles like this, cut your jetpack and get into your ship. Go to your control panel and choose your advanced rotor, like so. And then what you want to do again is lock the rotor and then click attach. If it works, you'll see that it's attached and its current angle is 360 degrees. You now have a small grid with a large grid attachment point. And what we're going to do on this large grid attachment point is we're going to super grid it. Let me just push this out using the D-pad. Again, hold down the right bumper. Pushing backwards and forwards on the D-pad lets you move parts backwards and forwards. We're going to stick this great big honking ore detector on this ship. And there it is on a ship, super gridded. We're going to go into the control panel again, and you can see there's a subgrid there. That's our new ore detector, and its range is 150 meters. And as we put that up to full power and jump out of the ship, you'll see that within 130 odd meters we've got ice and silicon, and we can now tootle around in our big ore detector small grid ship finding ore. It's it doesn't look much, but it works. And that is super gridding. That's what super gridding can do with a small grid ship to a large, and how to do it the easier way with a large to a small. Obviously, though, you're not going to want to fit a small ore detector on a large grid ship, since you can just slap one of these on. If you're using mods, you can always get overclocked ore detectors, which have incredibly stupid ranges. But yeah, that's it. That's super gridding in a nutshell. That's all it is. Being able to use the Space Engineers exploit to stuff large grid parts onto small grid ships and small grid parts onto large grid ships. So if you're thinking about doing a more detailed build, and you're not happy with, say, the floor of a large grid ship, you could throw down one of those rotors, slap a small head on it, and build a small grid floor. And on that small grid floor, you can then use small grid blocks to detail that floor, and you could make your own sort of detailing and so on and so forth. Of course, you won't be able to get things like your decorations for the large grid on there. So you may have to mix and match to fit everything in. It's worth trying though, and it's a lot of fun. Anyway, that's all I've got time for this morning. I thought I'd jump in and do a bit of a quick tutorial on Super Griddy. Hopefully you're having a good day, evening, or whatever time zone it is you're in. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. And remember, it helps out a lot. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Pass the channel around to your friends. Remember, I do Xbox focused tutorials. I don't play on the PC anymore. I used to way back. But I've been focused for nearly 2 years now on the Xbox. This year, it'll be my 2nd year anniversary, and I may well be going back onto the Space Engineers Devs Lost in Space live stream to talk a bit more about what I've been doing and how I've been doing it. And of course, we've got Warfare 2 coming very, very soon. The official servers come back on February the 1st. I'm thinking that Warfare 2 will probably coincide around then, so not too long to wait. And remember, check out my community tab if you want to see a few bits and pieces about Warfare 2 from Marek himself off his blog. Anyway, I've rambled on, I'll say. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, take care, have fun, enjoy the game. Bye for now.